Hola clase, hoy vamos a repasar el presente. So today we're going over the present tense and its conjugations. Remember that you use the present tense to talk about what people do on a regular basis or what is currently going on. To form the present tense in Spanish, if you have an AR verb, you're going to need to drop the AR and then add the following endings: o, as, a, amos, ais, an. Please make sure you write those endings down on your note guide that you have in front of you. Below these endings, you can see here some practice examples. These examples are very similar to what's going to be on your mini quiz during the beginning of our next class period. So please take a second, pause me, and do these 6 examples. Okay, let's review your answers. Number 1, yo hablo. Número 2, Ana y yo estudiamos. 3, tú nadas. 4, mi hermano baila. 5, tú y Ana cantan. 6, Ana escucha. Okay, let's go on to ER verbs. If you have a verb that ends in ER, to conjugate it in the present tense, step 1, drop the ER, and then add the following endings: o, es, e, hemos, es, en. Just like with AR, you see 6 examples here, very similar to what will be on the mini quiz, so go ahead and pause me and work through these examples. Okay, let's review our answers. Yo como. Mis hermanos beben. 3, tú lees. 4, mi hermano come. 5, Ana y yo comemos. Y 6, Ana no bebe. Okay, let's go on to IR verbs. If you have an IR verb, to conjugate it in the present tense, you drop the IR and add o, es, e, hemos, is, en. Notice that your IR endings are very similar to your ER endings, only differing in the nosotros and the vosotros form. Okay, you see 6 example problems down here. I'd like you to pause me and do these 6. All right, let's go over them. 1, nosotros vivimos. 2, Juan escribe. 3, tú sales. 4, yo escribo. 5, Ana y su amiga viven. Y 6, Ana casi nunca sale. Okay, hopefully you got all 18 of those practice questions correct, and that the present tense endings are very familiar to you. You know them well. Maybe you occasionally have to look up, if you forget a ending or two. All right, so we're going to continue on your note guide. The next column you see is going to be for stem changes. So I wrote you a note there that stem changes in the present tense occur in the boot. We're going to look at a few examples here. The first verb we're going to look at is pensar. Pensar means to think or to plan. Its stem change is E to IE. Here's its conjugation. Pienso, piensas, piensa, pensamos, y piensan. Notice, just like it says here in green, our stem change, the E going to IE, only occurred in the boot. Okay? And the other nice thing about stem changing verbs is that pensar is an AR verb. It still has AR endings: o, as, a, amos, ais, an. So just because a verb is a stem changer does not change its endings at all. You purely just have to remember to do your spelling change inside the boot. Okay. Here's some other stem changing verbs that are commonly seen in Spanish 1 and Spanish 2. I'll give you a minute to look those over. Okay, so you'll notice that you have 4 types of stem changing verbs: E to IE, E to I, U to UE, and O to UE. Okay, let's practice. please take a minute and pause me. I'd like you to work through these 8 activities. If you need the verbs, they're right here if you cannot remember these Spanish 1 words. Okay, let's review. Number 1, yo puedo. Number 2, tú sirves. 3, ella quiere. 4, ellos juegan. 5, nosotros pedimos. 6, él duerme. 7, ellos empiezan. And 8, yo vuelvo. Okay, so what do you need to know about stem changers in the present tense? There's 4 types: E to IE, O to UE, E to I, and U to UE. Stem changes only occur in the boot. And just because they're stem changing verbs, that does not change their endings. If it's an AR verb, it's still O, as, a, amos, ais, an. Okay. Lastly, I wanted to talk about reflexive verbs and using verbs that are reflexive in the present tense. So just a quick reminder. Verbs are reflexive because you do them to or for yourself. Okay? So let's look at the example lavar. Lavar means to wash. Okay, so if I said, yo lavo el carro, I wash the car. But if suddenly I'm washing my hands, well then I'm doing it to or for myself. So if I'm saying I'm washing my hands, I say me lavo las manos. Okay, so lavar, to wash. Lavarse, to wash something on yourself. You can always identify a reflexive verb in Spanish because in the infinitive form, it will end in se. Okay, so when you go to conjugate a verb that is reflexive, remember the first thing you have to do is take the se off and move it so it goes before the conjugated verb. Here you see the verb bañarse. So we took the se off, we moved the pronoun to the front, and you've got to make it match the subject. So se came off and became me in the yo form, te in the tu form, se in the he, she, usted form, nos in the nosotros form, and se in the ellos, ellas, ustedes form. So after you've done that, after you've removed the se, then you just have bañar. Bañar is an AR verb, so it has AR endings. O, as, a, amos, ais, an. Okay, so I take a bath, me baño. You take a bath, te bañas. He, she, you formal takes a bath, se baña. We take a bath, nos bañamos. And they take a bath, se bañan. Okay, I would like you to pause me and try to conjugate lavarse in the present tense. Okay, remember step 1, take the se off, move it to the front, make it match the subject, then conjugate lavar. All right, let's see if you got them correct. You should have, I wash myself, me lavo. You wash, te lavas. He, she, you formal washes, se lava. We wash, nos lavamos. You all wash, os lavais. And they wash, se lavan. Okay, so what do you need to know about reflexive verbs and using them in the present tense? When conjugating a reflexive verb, remember, all you have to do is take the reflexive pronoun off, take the se off, move it to the front, make it match the subject, and then conjugate your verb as you always would. Okay, let's do a few practice ones and then we'll be done for the day. I'm going to give you the infinitives before I have you pause me, just in case you don't remember this vocab from first semester. To shave is afeitarse. To comb your hair is peinarse. To fall asleep is dormirse. To go to bed is acostarse. And to wake up is despertarse. Okay, please pause me and work through these examples. All right, let's go over your answers. I shave. Me afeito. She combs her hair. Se peina. They fall asleep. Se duermen. Notice, dormirse had a stem change, O to UE. So se duermen. We went to bed, or excuse me, that should say we go to bed. Nos acostamos. And I woke up. Me desperté. That was in the preterite tense. Okay. On your note guide, please make sure that you have down all of the formation notes. You've maybe done an example of the stem changes in your box, and then you've written yourself a usage note on using reflexive verbs, and maybe you've done an example in that box as well. Okay, I hope that you are now comfortable with the present tense, stem changers, and reflexive verbs in the present tense. Okay, gracias.